Every time I get on, I felt like I have so much content to go through, and I always go over my time. But I'll try to make sure it is exactly what I said I will finish. So today, our focus is to talk about, I had another webinar already to talk for the business owners, whether you should hire subcontractors or you should hire employees. So put aside that one, people were calling that, oh, Ying, we want you to talk about us. What if I have offered that to become a subcontractor or employee? Which one should I be taking? Which one is better for me? So we're taking another angle of looking at the same thing, but today's webinar is a twin webinar between the one that from the employer standpoint, this is the one that from employee or hired person standpoint. So there's 5 things I want to cover: dollar difference, and we talk about dollar and cents, then tax responsibility, future earning discipline, and insurance and risk, governmental compliance, and unemployment benefits. Then at the last, I will give you the advice I give to a lot of my subcontractors that who come to our firm. And the dollar difference. So here I laid out a real example. This is not a made up example. It is real. And so someone who would offer you $3,000 salary, or someone would offer you $3,000 subcontractor pay. What's the difference? The difference is that the company who offers you $3,000 salary, their real payout is actually $4,240. And out of $4,240, let's look at what are your benefit in here. Social Security Medicare match, that's $210, and your salary of $3,000 also got reduced by $210 because you give your own portion. The employer put in their portion. So your total Social Security Medicare benefit goes to Social Security Administration. That's $420. Make sense, right? So this is where the company is paying. Company paying $210 extra on top of your $3,000. Medical insurance, and I just take an average. So average person, age 40, right now, monthly premium is about $600. $600, let's say company pays half of it. That's the $300 you're getting from the company. That is above your $3,000 salary. And the long-term, short-term disabilities. And I forgot to write disability, but that's what I meant. So the company always purchase long-term, short-term disabilities. And even if they didn't tell you they have it, most of the company I work with, and they all do. Why not? It is not that expensive. In case your employee get injured at workplace, then they can have some compensation while you are not paying them. So that is $100 a month. And the UI, unemployment insurance premiums, that's the employer pays for you, $90 a month, and you don't even see it, but it's paid to the government. For a 401k match, and a lot of company does 3% 401k match. I just did 3%. And some of the company, and for example, a company like a community CPA, some of those professional firms, they do profit sharing match. And here is a 15% of match is known, and I know company does that, our company does it. So that is a $450 that goes into employee that doesn't cost employee at all and is add on top of the $3,000. So you can tell with all of that add together, we got to what? $4,240. But that same company said to you that, oh, do you want to be my employee? I pay you $3,000, and or you can be my subcontractor. I pay you $3,000. Right here, I'm giving you a tip in terms of where you negotiate, right? If you are not an employee of that company, they offer you a subcontractor job, and then that means Oh, I just realized that here, the employee worked at the company. I meant to say the second point here. The point here, I meant to say subcontractor. I meant to say subcontractor works at the company. It's a 3,000 subcontractor pay that equals to 3,000. No more, no less, and you get what you get. But if the same company was giving you these two offers, they give you the same dollars, you know that is very different. So right there, just from the dollar standpoint, I would go for employee rather than subcontractor, right? So that is the answer. Which one is better? You know which one is better. Now, tax responsibility and a future earning discipline. And this is something that a lot of people who are subcontractor are lacking of understanding of this. They didn't understand that $3,000 they got had not paid any taxes. They are responsible for paying income tax and the self-employment tax. And not just that, and when you work for an employer, your future was taken care of by the Social Security Medicare submission by the employer, and your future were taken care of by the 401k that you didn't really even pay attention to, but it's accumulating its number to a bigger number. So with that, and you need to be self-disciplined. So when you are a subcontractor, you want to put aside money for the future. You want to put aside money for Social Security Medicare payment, and you want to budget your spending. Don't take your 3,000, spend it all. Then later on, when you do the math, you ended up with payment that you need to make at the end of the year, because you're only getting the year-end statement from your contractor, your employer, and that's 1099, right? The 1099 will show you a number, and then you take that number, you put on your tax return. And you may, some people will say that, well, I spend it all, so I don't need to pay anything. That's not true. And you spend it all doesn't mean you spend it all on business-related expense. You may be spending all your money on your mortgage payment, but remember, only mortgage interest can be deducted for the portion of the office you use. But the principal part, it is your income. It is not, cannot be deducted. So there are things that don't assume you spend the money, then you don't have to pay taxes. You have no savings, so you don't have to pay taxes. It is very different from you don't have profit. You don't have saving doesn't equals to you don't have profit. All right. So, but for payroll, if you got a paycheck W-2, you notice that the box 2 already have the taxes withheld for you. If it is withheld too much, you get it back. If it is not enough, you pay some, but never a lot, because it's already under control. Okay. So from this standpoint, if you tell me that you are a person pretty organized and understand the responsibilities, have future earning disciplines, then I'll say, sure, you can be either a subcontractor or an employee, both work for you. But if you are a person that the paycheck arrives your bank, you spend it in next week, never enough, never sufficient, and if you are kind of living in that kind of life cycle right now, and no, be an employee probably be the best for you in terms of tax responsibility and a future earning discipline, because you want to give that responsibility to your employer. You want that future earning to be with your employer, so you don't have to worry about it. So that's our number 2. Number 3, insurance and risk. Business is risky. And I will guarantee you, if you are in business and your business is successful, or never mind, even if your business is not successful, and you would get into a lawsuit here and there, and sooner or later, and big or small. And this is just the nature of our economy, nature of our mentality, nature of USA. And when I immigrated from Canada to here, and I remember, I was young and don't really understand that, because when I was telling my friend I'm immigrant, I'm going to US, I'm going to live in US, they said to me that, why are you going there? That is a lawsuit capital. That's what they were saying. And at that time, I think it was exaggerated, but 25 years later, I'm here seeing over 9,000 businesses and experiencing with my own. And I will tell you that it is a cup of tea. Everybody tried it. So it is risky. And if you are with an employer, you are covered. Even if as an employee, you did something wrong, you know that it can never become your personal liability. Your employer will cover. Employer's insurance company will cover. You would be assigned a lawyer to defend you. And so you will be out without paying any money because you are an employee doing employee assigned work for the company. But if you are a subcontractor, you are considered a business on your own. You are not covered unless you bought workers' comp, unless you bought general liability insurance, unless you bought personal liability insurance, unless, and you know you got a lawyer that to work for you in case you get sued, someone will take care of you. All right. So with that, you want to consider, and is your business risky? If it is risky, are you employee or you are subcontractor? And then buy the insurance. It will be never wrong. I know when we don't have anything coming up, we always think that insurance is paying somewhere and pretty severe because it's a lot of money. But the reality is when you really get into a lawsuit, and you would really be glad that you got that covered. And the situation is when you get into a lawsuit, all your insurance company will try to get away from that. They will find reasons to not cover you first because you didn't pay your premium, because you were late, because this and that. They'll find reasons. That's why you need to have someone to understand your insurance policy, really cover you before you start the business. So that is an insurance and a risk. Number 3. Government compliances is also a true point of view. As an employer, as an employee, you literally don't have anything to be worried. And you're fine. You're literally fine. You get W-2. And why would the government look at you even? You got a W-2 and you don't have anything different unless someone was stealing your identity and worked somewhere else. Then when you filed your tax return, the IRS came back, goes, you have another W-2. You'll be like, oh, really? I worked at another state. Okay, great. So W-2 is pretty safe. Okay, but what if you are a subcontractor? The story will be very different. You are a subcontractor means you are in business on your own. IRS could audit you because you keep on claiming loss year after year, and IRS is wondering whether that is your hobby or is your business. Okay, and the DOL could come back to you, and your subcontractors, and you hired other subcontractors, DOL could come back and say, well, I don't agree with that. I think they're your employees. There you go. You got into a situation where you didn't even think you would ever get into. The state workforce could come back in, goes, wow, and look, you're not subcontractor. And you should be paying unemployment benefit because you're self-employed and you should pay yourself a salary. So there's so many government bodies can come in to nail you down for things that you are not doing it right. Okay, so government compliance is 100% on you when you are a subcontractor. There is no one else to pick up your luggage unless you are an employee, then your company will. Now, the last 5 points I have was unemployment benefit. So if you're an employee and you got laid off, or situation happened and you you left your job and you didn't really want to work. And I guess that's not a good example, because if you voluntarily quit your job, you don't get unemployment insurance because you just decided not to work. But if you were laid off, COVID happened, and you don't have a job, employee, straightforward, you get your benefit from the state government, but the state government money is with federal government subsidized. So it's actually federal money funneled through to state, and state give to you. And but some contractors also do not have unemployment benefit because they elect themselves out for that benefit. They self-employ themselves and they work. They said that if I fire myself, I don't get unemployment. So that has happened very often. But some subcontractors, they will get an unemployment benefit. You know how? For example, if I got subcontracted by a construction company to do a drywall, and if I am a S corporation, and I actually would pay myself, I'm the owner, I pay myself the salary. So I qualified for unemployment benefit because I'm paying myself as employee. And the other people, the other workers, maybe they're only qualified to be a subcontractor. So I pay them subcontractor. I'll be the only employee in the S corporation setting. And yeah, then you're qualified for unemployment benefit. So there are things that you could benefit from being a subcontractor, but still have unemployment benefit. And this is the last piece I want to cover, and it's a couple of things for subcontractors. So now, if you are a subcontractor, and I want to ask you, did you already have PPP? Did you already have EIDL? Did you already applied unemployment? If any of the three, and you don't have, and I would consider that you did not maximize your benefit. And make sure that you pose that question to whoever works with you on your taxes. If the one who works on your taxes are not good enough, you know, we are always open for new clients at a community CPA. You literally can call us. If you are just calling us, give us your general situation, ask us for a yes and no answer, we will tell you. And we're not a law firm, so we don't charge you for every 15 minutes you're talking to us. We are a CPA firm with the attorney on our team. So we do legal work where the attorney does, and we are really a good accountant, good tax accountant. And we can set up your company for you. So as a subcontractor, you don't run your business into a Schedule C. You know, the Schedule C on 1040, that is a huge, that's a huge red flag for you to ask IRS to pay a good attention to you so you can be audited or be compliance reviewed. That's literally what you're doing, because IRS knows that people who use Schedule C are the amateurs. They are not professional business people, and they just started a business. They don't know what they're doing, so they need more education. Nothing wrong with them doing that, and just a lot of people who use 1040 Schedule C are that kind of business. And to avoid that, to get professional help, and we can help you. So I literally have example here. If I receive a subcontract payment for $100,000 in a year, and I hired someone to work for me for $90,000, the profit I made is $10,000. And this $10,000 came to my bank account, came to my tax return. That would allow me to claim to have a EITC and a CTC credit. So instead of paying taxes, I'm getting refund back because I properly documented and how I spend the money. But the problem in the real world is people got that $100,000, and at the end of the year, they goes to the tax preparer, goes, I made $100,000 as a subcontractor, and the tax preparer said, where is your expense? And that person would be like, what do you mean? I spent it all. And you know that because my bank is zero, but you know that is not the same, right? That is not the same thing. Your profit doesn't equal to your cash flow, because you could make $1 million profit, but you bought aircraft and crashed it, and that's zero. But you spend it, but that's not a business expense, right? We could make it a business expense if you were going to open up an airline, since there's no airline working right now. So my point is to say you need to track your expenses. If you hired someone to work, you want to make sure you hire them as an employee or you hire them as a subcontractor. Make sure you document and prepare your tax document properly. And don't forget your future saving. That's the advice I give to the subcontractors. Don't think that you can work this year, you made good money, you made good money, you made good money again. But the thing is, you know, those good years, they are the past. If you don't save when you make good money, and in the future when you need something, and you will start to regret, well, I could have just, you know, put in $40,000 for my retirement, so now I would have $40,000 even more. So don't forget about future saving. You know, the future is always unknown, but to not have any money for the future is even more scary, okay? And hire a professional to help you to report taxes doing accounting. I always say that, you know, when my client comes to me to do tax return, and they give me a shoebox of receipt, then they say, help me save taxes. And I always tell them that the best a tax professional can do is based on your financial statement. If your financial statement is a mess, if your shoebox is disorganized, it doesn't matter how good that tax person is, cannot do a good job. And only when the tax person can come out of counting your receipt, then they can start thinking strategy. This is where in my firm, we have tax preparers who runs the numbers, but tax planning, tax strategy is literally done in a different section. We don't even want you to sit with me doing taxes, because when you sit with me, you're doing strategy. We are thinking at high level. It's almost like I don't want you to look at trees when I want you to see the forest. And imagine if you want to see the trees, you are getting into the bottom of the, you're grounding yourself, you see the trees. But in order to see the strategy, to really know where you're heading, where you're going, and where your saving is, you have to see the forest. So those are different sessions. In our firm, we don't mix them because we can lift you up right there in the 5 minutes time from the ground level to the air level, because you need to see forest with me and you need to see numbers with our tax preparers. So this is where our firm structure is. That's how we work with our tax folks, with our tax clients. And someone just told me this about today is Thursday. It was last Thursday, a week ago. Someone just told me this. She said, I worked so hard, saved $300,000, and I got audited, and I paid it all back plus more. Should have you helped me from beginning. So this is a new client came to us, get audited by IRS, and owe IRS $390,000. So she has $300,000 saved. So she's going to pay that plus more. And she said she worked so hard. And now with one audit, everything goes back. Why is that way? Because she has no record of her expenditures. So, and I hope this is useful webinar and give you some ideas. And that is our 3 o'clock webinar.